we were, in a way, victims of the war in a different manner. Did I tell you about my father?
No.
Well, what happened was, Mummy's parents came over, my maternal grandparents came over to Scotland in 1896 from the north of Italy. And Daddy's parents came in 1906. They actually, Grandad Giulianotti came first and then sent for his sweetheart, and they married in St. John's Church in Melville Street. But she had 9 children, all lived. Child 4, that was Daddy. She's expecting child 4. Her mother, my great-grandmother, contacted her from Italy, asked her to go over and help her, great-grandma, nurse great-granddad, who had fallen off. They had a beautiful big farm over there, and he had fallen off the roof of one of his workers. He was thatching, repairing the thatch on the roof, and he'd broken his back. So Grandma went out to help her mother. Sadly, great-granddad died. But Grandma came back now with a 2.5-month-old child. So Daddy was, a wee bit gung-ho, bit of a tearaway. Daddy volunteered for World War II. Couldn't understand why he wasn't taken, because his brothers were all ultimately, as you know, in World War II, there were volunteers, then people were called up. His brothers were called up. And Daddy didn't say that he'd volunteered, he'd been underage anyway. Anyway, they came and arrested Daddy as an enemy alien.
Oh.
Because Daddy had been born in Italy, you see, of Italian parents. Oh. Now, Grandma was the only Italian-born person left. She had 2 sisters in Perth, married to 2 brothers. They were all interned, but they left Grandma in Perth. She was always called Ma Gilly, because do you know Perth at all,
yes,
Katrina?
Yes.
Right. You know St. Ninian's Cathedral. Looking at St. Ninian's Cathedral, they then have, is it the Gateway? Wasn't there at that time. There was an SCWS supermarket type shop there. Then Grandma had all the shops, past the SCWS shop, all the shops and the flats above, Grandma and Grandad, right down to the Pend, yes, which was Wright's Brewery in those days, and also all the ones across the road in Methven Street. But where you've got a beauty shop, and then a Polish shop, and then Pino's Italy, all that area was what all the Italians had. One shop was a fish and chip shop, one was an ice cream shop, confectionery, and Pino's Italy, the small shop, that was the ice cream factory. And Grandma had 2 flats joined together upstairs for the family, and then she let out all the other flats. Anyway, the barracks were where the police station is now, Perth Barracks. Every Sunday, masked pipe bands used to walk down Methven Street. We used to, straight after Mass at St. John's, because we didn't have a Catholic church here in those days, we used to go up to Grandma's so that we could hang out the window and see the pipers coming down. And all the soldiers, Grandma had 2 sitting rooms in those days, we didn't call them restaurants, one behind the ice cream and confectionery shop, and one behind the fish and chip shop. And all the soldiers used to come down there and have their fish teas and everything. So Ma Gilly was the mother to all these soldiers, and no way could they have Grandma interned, even though 2 sisters were. They had one shop in Hospital Street and one in South Street. So Grandma was allowed to stay, and Daddy, unfortunately, was arrested as an enemy alien, but they were very kind to Daddy. Daddy was sent up to Aberfeldy, and the police arranged for him to work with Mr. Mortali there, and Daddy used to go and do daily mass. Mr. Mortali went to daily mass, and Daddy was the altar server. All Daddy had to do was observe a curfew every night at 9 o'clock at the police station. So he had to be so many miles away from tidal water at Perth. So he couldn't ever come down to us, and Mummy couldn't visit him. We couldn't visit. There hadn't to be a connection. He had to be cut off. But, you know, I had lovely letters of Daddy, which I don't remember Daddy being soppy like that, but saying how much he missed Mummy and his 2 girls. Ralph wasn't born yet, and all these things. And all we remember was being with Mummy and having our gas masks and things like that, you know. And also, Mummy had to run our chip shop, the one on the bridge in Craigie. That was Daddy and Mummy's. The part nearer, the 2 windows nearer to the railway bridge, that was the fish and chip side. And the 2 windows here, they were 2 separate shops, confectionery and ice cream. And Mummy had to run them while Daddy was interned. And I do remember that we had to open the door of the fish, because the ice cream one was closed at night, but the fish and chip shop, we had to open the door, then close the door, which had black cardboard over the glass bit at the top, and then pull this big black, it was an old blanket Mummy had made into a thick curtain, and then go in. So we had to come in a wee interim bit, then go in because of the blackout. And of course I remember always the blinds down in the bus when we were coming home from school in the winter months, again for the blackout. And more importantly, I remember having scarlet fever and being at what they termed the fever hospital out at Friarton, very close to the gasworks, where we were led to understand they were wanting to bomb the gasworks. And when you were in the fever hospital, your parents had to see you through the window. You know, they had boxes, lemonade boxes, they'd stand on and wave to you. And Mummy was so worried about me being near the gasworks when rumour had it.
Oh,
they were going